Hello students, how are you all today? This is Ashar Khan from Shiv Jyoti Educational Group Kota, and today we are going to revise some more chapters of our social studies. So we are going to revise, students, we are going to revise 3 chapters of our social studies today, okay? So we are going to revise the first chapter number 9 of history, that is traders, kings and pilgrims, chapter number 8 of geography, India, climate, vegetation and wildlife, and chapter number 8 of civics, that is rural livelihoods. So let us begin. First, let us go through history chapter number 9, okay, in which we learnt about traders, kings and pilgrims. Let us learn what they are, okay, let us revise what they were. Now, please open your history book in front of you on page number 91. Okay, on page number 91, open your history book. The name is Traders, Kings and Pilgrims. So, first, let us learn about traders, who they were and what does it mean. What did the traders used to do? Okay, so traders were people who bought stuff where they were made and sold them elsewhere, okay? So traders are those people who used to buy objects from one place and sell it to another place because of money, okay? So they would buy something, say from North India, and then they will travel all the way to South India and they will sell it there, correct? Now, one particular region was very famous in our country, that was the South India, okay? The South Indian region was very famous. Why? Because it was famous for gold and spices, okay? Traders will come all the way from even from Arab and Europe, okay, Rome, to just get some gold and spices from here. They were that famous, okay? Particularly one spice which became very famous was pepper. It became so famous that the Romans used to call it black gold. Okay, and how do we know that the Romans used to come all the way from Europe to India to purchase this? Because in South Indian region, okay, in that area, when we have excavated the area, we found a lot of Roman gold coins. So we can understand that maybe some traders might have traveled here to purchase objects which were sold here, all right? Now, in South India, there is a particular term, there is a Tamil word called Muvendar, okay? It's a Tamil word. It's a Tamil word meaning 3 chiefs. See, during that time in South India, 3 particular families were very prominent. Those were the Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. Correct? In our earlier history lessons, I have told you that most of the important dynastic families, they always had a capital city where they used to build a very large palace and control all the trade, all the religious centers, okay? So, these 3 also had their capital city. For example, the Cholas capital city was Kaveri Pattanam, and the capital city of Pandya was Madurai. Okay, so these were the 3 important families which used to rule over the southern India. Now, kings. What did the kings do? All the kings who controlled this, they used to receive taxes and gifts from people. Remember that kings received taxes and tributes also, and they also went on military expeditions. Okay, so they used to collect taxes from people, they used to take tribute from people, and they also used to go on military expeditions. Okay, military expeditions, so that they can increase their area. Now, moving on, okay, so we understood what traders were and kings. Now, let us learn about some other dynastic rulers which used to rule over southern India. and then we will discuss the famous Silk Route topic. Okay, so now let us discuss another dynasty which became very powerful in the southern India during that time, and that dynasty was of the Satavahanas. Okay, Satavahanas was one of the powerful ruler of South India. The rulers of Satavahanas, okay, the rulers of this dynasty were called, okay, they had a particular title. They used to call themselves Lords of Dakshinapath. Now, what is Dakshinapath? See, Dakshinapath translates to road to the south. But it was also a name for the entire southern region. Okay, the entire southern region on which the Satavahanas used to rule over, it was also called Dakshinapath, which means road to the south. Okay, now moving on, let us discuss Silk Route now. Now, what was Silk Route? Okay, route means way. So it was a route which the Europeans used to take to go to China so that they can get silk. Now see, the process of making silk was discovered first by the Chinese, and they kept it a very heavily guarded secret. They didn't tell anyone how to make silk. So if anyone wanted to wear silk, okay, if anyone wanted to have some silk, they needed to travel all the way from their place to China to get there. So Silk Route was the path. Okay, what was Silk Route? It was the path followed by the European traders. It was the path followed by the European traders to China. And why did they go to China? To buy silk. Okay, easy enough. Now, Silk Route was controlled by a very powerful family, a North Indian dynasty, that was the Kushanas. Okay, they used to control Silk Route. Why? If someone wanted to pass the Silk Route, okay, pass through the area, they needed to give some tax. Okay, they used to collect taxes and gifts in exchange of passage. Okay, otherwise they wouldn't allow anyone to go through that Silk Route. Okay, they needed to go to take a longer route. Now, the most famous Kushana ruler, okay, the most famous Kushana ruler was Kanishka. Okay, the name of the most famous Kushana ruler was Kanishka. He organized a very big council of all the Buddhist scholars and tried to spread Buddhism in India. Okay, now because of Kanishka's and his efforts, okay, Buddhism was split into two different parts or two different sects, as we call them. Okay, so we had two types of Buddhism. In our earlier chapter, students, we have learned about Buddhism as well, the religion which was started by Gautam Buddha. Now, Buddhism was split into two parts. That is the Mahayana Buddhism and the Theravada Buddhism. All right? Buddhism was split into two parts, each had their different ideologies. Now, because of such rich culture in our country started attracting pilgrims from different places. Okay, we have learned about traders and kings, now let us discuss pilgrims. Pilgrims are those people who come on a holy journey. Okay, so some Chinese pilgrims, they came to India. Okay, let's see what the name were. They were Fajian, Xuanzang, and I King. Okay, they came here to see the monasteries which were constructed by the followers of Buddha. Okay, they came here to see the holy places associated with Gautam Buddha, the place where he was born, where he died, and so on, where he gave his first sermon, and so on. Okay, now, also in India at that time, Bhakti movement started. Okay, I hope you all remember learning about this. Bhakti movement, okay. So in earlier times, what used to happen, if people wanted to follow some particular god or goddesses, they used to have a very elaborate sacrifices, very elaborate rituals for that god or goddesses. But in the Bhakti movement, it was said that you only need to follow one particular deity, okay. So Bhakti movement basically meant worship of a single chosen deity, that is a god or a goddess. Important gods and goddesses which were chosen in the Bhakti movement were Shiva, Vishnu and Durga. Okay, so in the Bhakti movement, you didn't need to perform any elaborate sacrifices or big rituals. Okay, you just needed to follow the path of bhakti in your heart. Okay, that means you just need to follow the particular god and goddesses. Okay, and also one important thing about Bhakti movement and why it became very popular, it was that it didn't have any restriction. Anyone, whether high caste or low caste, man or woman, king or beggar, they could all follow the path of bhakti. Okay, and it was said that if you worship the deity with pure heart, then that deity will come in front of you and give you a boon. So students, let us discuss the internal questions of the chapter. Okay. Now, on page number 93, mark the first internal questions if you have not already. Okay. Question number 1, who was the most powerful ruler? Who was the most powerful ruler of the Satvahana dynasty? Okay, the most powerful ruler of the Satvahana dynasty. Okay, and the answer is, I'm just speaking out loud, Gautami Putra Shri Satkarni. You can find the answer on the third paragraph, fourth line. Okay, page number 93, third paragraph, fourth line, you will find the answer that the most important ruler of the Satvahanas was Gautami Putra Shri Satkarni. Okay, now let us come to the second internal question on page number 97. On page number 97, students, write your second internal question. Name some Chinese Buddhist pilgrims. Okay, name some Chinese Buddhist pilgrims. Make sure that you write your spelling correctly. The names are given in the paragraph right here. Okay, it's Faxian, Xuanzang and Aiking. Alright, so these were the internal questions. I hope you remember all which I have revised you right now. Now let us discuss the CW work of this chapter. So students, now let us discuss the CW work of the chapter of history. Now, first question is, who composed the biography of the Buddha? Biography means his life story. Okay, so who wrote about the entire life story of the Buddha? Ashvaghosha composed the Buddha Charita. Okay, he composed a book called Buddha Charita, which is the biography of the Buddha. Name the three ruling families of South India. We covered this a moment ago, that the three ruling families of South India were the Cholas, Cheras and the Pandyas. Let us move on. What do you mean by silk route? Okay, the route through which the traders carried silk with them is known as silk route. Okay, the pathway, the route which the traders used to take to carry silk with them was called the silk route. Okay, why were ordinary people attracted to bhakti? Ordinary people were attracted to bhakti because anybody, rich or poor, high or low, man or woman, could follow the path of bhakti. This was a very important feature of the bhakti system, that anyone, rich, poor, low, high, man or woman, anyone could follow the path of bhakti. Next one, why did kings want to control the silk route? Okay, I hope you have done all of these questions in your copywork book, in your copy. If you have not, then do so. Why did kings want to control the silk route? This is our next question. Kings wanted to control the silk route because they believed that they would benefit from taxes, tributes and gifts that were brought by traders traveling along the routes. So the routes, okay, the traders which used to travel on them, they used to give the kings taxes, tributes and gifts, okay, so that they can allow them passage. That's why the kings wanted to control the silk route. So whomsoever passed through there, they can collect tax, tribute and gifts from them. Who was Kanishka? Mention one of his achievements. Okay, now we're learning about a particular ruler called Kanishka. Kanishka was the famous ruler of the Kushana dynasty. There was a ruling family of northern India called Kushana. So Kanishka was the famous ruler of that dynasty. He organized a Buddhist council where scholars used to discuss important issues. He organized a very large Buddhist meeting where the scholars, the learned people, okay, they used to discuss important issues. Now, long answer type questions. What were the main features of bhakti? You need to know what were the main features of bhakti. The main features of bhakti were, number one, it emphasized devotion and individual worship rather than elaborate sacrifices. As I've already explained it to you, before what used to happen, elaborate sacrifices and huge rituals used to take place for the worship of a god or goddesses. But during the bhakti system, we emphasized on devotion and individual worship. That it doesn't matter that you don't need to perform big sacrifices now, you can just worship your chosen deity individually. According to this, if a devotee worships the chosen deity with a pure heart, the deity will appear in the form in which he or she may desire. Okay, so if you worship a god or goddesses with your chosen, with your pure heart, then the deity will appear in front of you. Next question: what kind of evidence do historians use to find out about trade and trade routes? Okay. How do historians learn that there was a trade route here? How do we know that there was a trade route called Silk Route? Okay, see, the evidences historians found out about trade and trade route were remains of fine pottery, especially bowls and plates, gold, spices, especially pepper, and precious stones. Roman gold coins have been found in South India. I told you when we were revising this chapter that when Roman gold coins were found in South India, we came to realize that maybe the Romans came all the way from Europe to South India to purchase maybe spices, okay, gold, pepper, and so many other things. Traders carried these goods to Rome in ships across the sea and by land in caravans. Okay, they used to take all the goods they have purchased to Rome either by ships if they are going by the route of sea or by land. Okay, if they were going by land, then used to go in caravans. Okay, so student, this was the copy work.